In Excel 2013, the print dialog box and the print preview dialog box have effectively been amalgamated, and with that amalgamation have also been included a lot of the print settings. So all the things that we've run through for adding headers and footers, page margins, orientation, can all actually be controlled in one place. So we're going to use the employees D file here, file and print. We end up in this dialog box. If we go to print preview, we end up in the same dialog box. Now this setting of print or print preview is actually an amalgamated view. On the right hand side here, it previews the document and we can scroll through the pages. On the left hand side, we have the print dialog box. Now in previous versions, the print dialog box would have simply allowed you to select a different printer, which this does. We can change from one printer to whatever we have installed on this machine, choose the number of copies, and then physically carry out the print. So those bits still exist, but we have a whole new section here of settings, allowing us to control what we actually print. So the active sheets, the entire workbook, or a selection. But we can also choose which pages to print. So we can have a look through our 12 pages and actually pick which of those pages we would like to print. So from 1 to 3, 4 to 9. Would we like the document collated? Collation only has an effect if you print more than one copy of a file. If you print, say, 2 copies, it will print them when collated as pages 1 to 12 and then pages 1 to 12 again, rather than 2 lots of page 1, 2 lots of page 2, 2 lots of page 3. We can also control the orientation from in here, between portrait and landscape, so instantly seeing what that does to the print preview. So instead of having to do it on the page layout menu, we do it in here and we can see the immediate effect. The same with the page size, we can change that in here and see the immediate effect. We can change the margins in here and see the immediate effect. These are the same settings that you get from the page layout ribbon. Normal, wide, narrow, or into custom. We can control the scaling from within this same dialog box. So you can see we can fit sheet on one page. So that forces the width and the height to 1 and 1 and will squash 12 pages into one. Fit all the columns on one page. So we're telling it to shrink the width to one page. Fit all the rows on one page. In that case, we're trying to tell it to fit the height onto one page. Or no scaling, which is the default. So we can scale from the same dialog box. We don't have to go to the ribbon again. We can also access through the little link here, page setup. From here, we can control the scaling as a percentage as opposed to the little fit option. We can change the paper size and the print quality. We can control the orientation. We can control the margins. So rather than just the drop down of thin, wide and normal, we can come here and make individual settings. We can control header and footer, all from within the same print preview section. And on the sheet tab, we can control a few things that will print, such as grid lines, whether we want to print black and white, whether the page numbering goes down and then over. So we have 12 pages. At the moment, it will work its way down the sheet and then come to a second column and work down. Or we can go over and down, in which case it will work across the rows first and then come down to page whatever we're up to and go across again. The only things that you cannot control from within page setup from the print preview area is you cannot set your print area and you cannot set the rows or the columns that repeat. Notice that these are grayed out. They would have to be set from when you're in the file itself from the page layout ribbon. But everything else we can control. On the print preview side, see down the bottom right 2 icons. If we choose the left-hand icon, this displays the margins and actually allows you to adjust them. So I can graphically adjust the margins. Don't forget that although we're looking at page 1, we can control the right-hand margin. We can control the top margin and the header section. So the area between that bar and that bar is your header. So if you narrow up that too much, you haven't got much header. And the same at the bottom. We have one bottom bar that will take you down as far as it can for the bottom margin, and then one that allows a bit of space for the footer. So if you're not using headers and footers, you could drag that space right down to 0, forcing more content onto the page. So now we can see record with ID 38, whereas before we could only see up to 36. So that's just by turning on the margins in the print preview side, and we can turn them back off by clicking the icon again. So they're just an on-off option. Now with the margins showing, you can actually adjust the column widths in this print preview as well. You get a little black mark at the top of each column, So if I, for example, wanted to narrow up the address line too, I could do that from this print preview. Narrow that up slightly. So this amalgamated view of print and print preview allows you to do print preview on the right hand side here, where we can adjust the margins graphically and even the column widths graphically. Allows you to decide number of copies and which printer to send the document to, and the big button to actually carry out the print, and then a whole raft of settings that we can control here and more through the page setup. Pretty much all the control can be done from within one screen.